Welcome back to the WGL. We are now in, well, game number 2, or at least going towards it. And it's going to be between TCM and WUSA. So 2 very good teams currently. Some having slightly better performances recently than others. However, into Matchweek 8, how do you think these 2 will fare?
Ooh, they're both on the down. They've both struggled a little bit. I think TCM, coming off that win against Momentum, slightly better for them. I mean, of course, WGL played besting WUSA. I don't know. It's very close, and I've been looking forward to this game a lot. A couple of Germans in both teams, so that kind of matches up, and these guys obviously know each other very well. They've been playing for the last few seasons against each other.
Yep.
So this is definitely going to be one of the closest games we've seen this season, and one of the ones I've been looking forward to the most. Can't call who's going to win it. I think when you look at it,
yep,
WUSA has had stronger games than TCM has had stronger games, but TCM has had those moments of brilliance, and if they get that on point, they'll be able to win.
All right, so let's put it this way: if one of these 2 teams gets a clean win here, it will put them in the top 6. They're currently sat at 7th and 8th, WUSA 7th, TCM 8th. 3 points will put them possibly within that top 6. Maybe pushing Kasner out unless Kasner win their game today. So this is possibly for a chance to go to the offline finals, or at least to qualify towards it. Massive game for these 2. For TCM, it's a bit of a stretch. However, if WUSA, who are currently 1 point ahead, pick this up, they might have a little bit more security, at least in that position. So you can imagine the gravity of this game, especially for these 2 teams. High pressure coming into this. Who do you think handles pressure better out of these 2?
I think WUSA perhaps handles pressure better.
Hard.
Because, I don't know, TCM seems to, once they've lost a game, seems to do spiral very, very quickly. And I don't know, it's kind of hard. WUSA's such a team that goes game by game. Some teams they do very well against, some teams they do very badly against. I mean, their last game was against Utopia. They lost 5-1. And now Utopia only just beat Drooling Leprechauns, and you can kind of see that comparison there. TCM Gaming had a much better round against Momentum, 5-3. So technically looking at previous results and where the teams have been getting to in terms of their performance, should go TCM Gaming's way. But I think both of them know that they have to step up to the plate because, as you said, this is probably going to be the most important round for them right now.
Yep.
As to if they actually get that top 6 spot.
Certainly is. We'll have to keep our minds towards that, and your votes must be crisp on this one because it's going to be a tough one to call. Melly, I don't know how the people are going to deal with this one. It's a very tough one to call. Both of these teams have quite, a good fan base out there. WUSA building a lot into this season, especially coming out, picking up first for quite some time. Slumping a little bit, but how do you think they're going to vote on this? Because it's going to be so hard to call.
Absolutely. You want to have a guess?
50-50?
No.
70-30.
One team is an advantage.
WUSA?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, 66% for Team WUSA. And we got a pretty cool tweet, actually, regarding the situation a bit earlier on. So if, I don't know why it's dying again, it just got deleted. Simon, why are you doing this to me? It was such a nice picture. I so wanted to show it.
Caster's curse.
No, it's gone. It's gone. It's really gone. It's gone.
Aww.
What was it?
What was
Just describe it to us.
You know that Robin and Batman meme where Robin
slaps him.
Well, Batman slaps Robin.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much since I wanted to make a break and Lauren was going no. Simon. Oh, he made a better version.
Oh,
I
good.
see.
Thank you.
I see.
That's great.
Okay. It's okay. It's not too bad.
Oh, we are not
At
going
least
to this.
Of course
Jesus,
we are.
Really?
So, producer,
Really?
do your magic,
Producer
please,
Matt?
and show us.
Oh, thank you. Should we just put WGLEU? I think it is. We should just put WGL Wargaming.
You got some nice neck hair there, Melanie.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Nice.
Neck, it's Pensy.
No, obviously on Robin.
Barely.
Oh, neck hair.
Yeah.
Oh, I have that as well.
Don't show us.
Jesus Christ.
Just like a mane.
Like, what? Everyone has that. Come on.
All right.
We're talking about the hair. Never mind, people. We're not going. I was talking about hair on my head. I don't know what you were talking about.
Neck hair.
Neck hair.
Below the head, neck?
Yeah, exactly.
You know the part that attaches your torso to your
head. As much as this is a great topic, Ollie, let's drop it.
I'm just trying to explain
people
these
don't
basics.
freak out if you find something like that at your neck. It's completely normal that your hair like grows a bit down, like a tiny bit.
It's like Dr. Fox right now.
See, this is why I was worried about bringing you on the show. This stuff right here, Ollie.
Bring me on the show.
Yeah,
You're coming on my show.
This is your
This
show.
is my show.
Then you should try and carry it once in a while. How about that?
All big plays.
Oh, no.
Maybe we should swap seats and then we'll see
there
what
he
goes.
I'll
Anyway,
just make up tank stats and pretend I know it. It'd be much easier, the traversing speed.
We were
I'll be wrong
doing
then.
so well until
We were.
now.
However, if people do want to get involved, how can they do so?
By simply heading over to facebook.com/WGLEU, where you can find a post that says, yes, the next match is up, vote here, and that's actually where you have to vote. Just click the link below and vote for your team. The team vote is just to see the tendency of the community. So if you vote for Team A, but you know that Team B is gonna win, don't worry, then just predict the score in favor of Team B, and you will be still able to win a bonus code. So just vote for your favorite team and predict the exact and correct scoreline in the text field below. Send off your vote, and hopefully you will get rewarded as one of the 5 winners. And the earlier you vote, the sooner you hand in your votings, the higher your chances are of winning. It's simple, because first come, first serve. And of course, tell us what's on your mind. Use Twitter to communicate with us. You can tweet us directly, bless you, and
Thank you.
by simply using the hashtag WGLEU, or contacting us at They Call Me Pansy, at LaughterWT, or at Melly with a 3 instead of an E, old school, and lead numbers and whatever. I don't have to tell you. Those two don't get it, but yes, you know it. I know it. So that's how we roll, and that's how you should do it.
Sounds pretty good. So do get involved. Do make sure you do it exactly as Melly says. Otherwise, you might just get abused. Who knows? Or you might be put into hell, like I am currently sat near these two. It's a dire place to be. Anyway, that aside, let's start looking back towards the tanks. You're right there, mate.
You good?
Yeah, all right. Nice. All right. So next game coming up is going to be TCM up against WUSA. As we said, possibility to go to the offline finals is resting into this game. What's our first map here?
It's going to be steps, and WUSA's going to be on the attack first, and then we'll be seeing Cliff, where TCM is going to be defending. I don't know. I think steps is one of those maps that's been played so much alongside Cliff that it really just depends on how you play on the day. I mean, I haven't got a great track record. That's WUSA on steps, and to be honest, TCM Gaming, they are 4 wins in a row on steps against Momentum, but Momentum kind of struggled on that map a lot, and maybe it's down to Momentum's failing more than TCM Gaming's winning on this for them to actually win it. But we'll see how this goes. TCM Gaming on the northern side, that's the defensive side, and WUSA on the southern side on the attack.
Yeah, and looking at the lineups here, what do we have going on? It looks like there's some artillery coming into play. What do we make of this?
Artillery's a gamble, but I think it works quite well. Roofy in the M44 is going to be playing that one pretty good, and let's see how it works out. On the attacking side, a little bit more unusual than on the defending side, but generally been pretty happy with that tank, and if he can hit a couple of shells, he'll definitely make it work. First one does come out, doesn't connect. Obviously, the shell travel time is quite long on that one, as it's more of a howitzer than it is a straight firing gun, and it does make it a little bit harder to play. But TCM, a bit like the Russian style, playing quite aggressive up that eastern flank and making sure they know where WUSA is going and where they are at the beginning.
So, 5 minutes and 57 seconds left into this round. HP overall in favour to TCM, favouring a slightly heavier lineup. Obviously, that artillery will be negating some of that HP that they may have had prior, which WUSA deciding maybe they want that over something else. So, TCM looking to maybe lock this one down quite early on. However, to make up that deficit, they do still have Schnitzel, who'll be playing that T-32. Brilliant tank in this map. Let's see how this comes into effect. Already spotting out Carvey, but we know this can be a very difficult position to get towards and get out of the game.
Yeah, Carvey's in a good position. He could potentially find himself in trouble if Roofy does hit a shell, which he does, just as I say it. Thank you very much, Carvey. And he does fall. 910 damage by the M44, and fantastic early play by that tank and that player, Roofy. So big advantage for WUSA.
Dangerous position for Carvey to sit in as well, considering there was artillery on the line there. And it is a fairly static position, but it's brilliant because it's very hard to get to normally with normal tanks. However, as you said, Roofy's positioning then, the shell coming in is perfect. And look at the HP difference now. It's WUSA in the lead, so they've negated that slight advantage TCM began with by just putting that shell right into the face of Carvey. So it will have to spur on a bit of a play from TCM, and this is a little bit different. And Euralfish, what the hell is he doing?
like a fish out of water. He's just running across the map.
Has his keyboard broken?
I'm pretty sure something's wrong.
Well, something's very wrong now. Spoink does find Eurofish, and he must have had issues then, because I know
He was stuck on auto drive.
It must have been.
It's when you just press like R twice, you can drive forwards automatically, and he seemed to have disconnected at the same time as going forwards. So big blows there for TCM Gaming, and the worst start they could possibly hope for. First of all, Carvey being destroyed by a great shot from Roofy, and then the T-32 gaining presence over towards the right side, and then Eurofish YOLOing across the map, or just disconnecting across the map and getting taken out. And quite honestly, I don't see how TCM Gaming could win that, or win this game, with that kind of luck. But WUSA's been in the same situation. They've disconnected before, and they've managed to pick up rounds, so it's not quite over, and TCM Gaming have quite a few tanks left. Yes, to punk it in that 251's in the cap, and they will have to try and stop that. But they do have the tanks to do it, and they do have the players that can pull it off.
Yeah, strange position from TCM. Haven't seen a team really this not out of position, but playing this sort of style. And I think obviously Carvey going down so early on, and the issue with Eurofish is really going to put them in a bad position. Even just mentally, you're thinking, well, we're literally gifted them a whole kill pretty much there, and it's not what you want to be doing. So the cap, as you said, being started off here, is moving forward. Yukai pushing around as well. The T69, T32, and the Bulldog up in the northeast will be challenging forward. Pluckett in a good position there. Stefan taking over where Carvey was, which will make it very hard to actually retake. And the tanks in that cap circle will be challenged down. Still Mojo starts to come in, but that T32 does have a lot of sustain, but Yukai certainly doesn't, get blown to pieces. And the cap just being toyed with now. Schnitzel and Plunkett just moving out of there. Still Mojo taking a pounding as well. Down to half HP, and the HP overall for TCM is looking dire. Still Mojo surely going to go down. Vertilion picks up one. As Nispazoni does find one in the end, but does, and Yizny last two alive. This has been a disaster from TCM.
It was a loss when Eurofish died, almost certainly. And Carvey dying as well at the beginning wasn't great. Yizny left in that MX 3090, but he's on reload, can't do anything. He's quite far away, so he might be able to run away, but it's not the biggest map in the world, and he will eventually be found with 2 minutes and 2 seconds left for WUSA to finish this game up with 6 tanks alive, and, well, pretty much 3,000 damage, 3,000 HP more to play around with. That's 3 tier 8 tanks to play around with. If they're on 100% HP. So not a great start for TCM Gaming. Yizny doing the best he can just to fake out. And to be honest, it does look like he might get away with this one. Roofy clearly not knowing where to go, and WUSA kind of going for the obvious places. Well, Yizny clever and showing why he's one of the top damage dealers in the WGL, because he makes these smart positional plays.
Smart as it may be, I don't know how much he can stop a 15-second cap currently going on. He's got a long way to drive, and maybe one shot to hit. Reload will become available right about 5 seconds
You'll have to reset
down.
twice, that's the problem.
I don't think he's even got time to get back there. Great position, not enough time to do it, and he knows that. So 2 seconds left. I'm just going to spot out Roofy. Gets a shot, doesn't even take him down, and WUSA will be picking up battle number 1. Interesting.
Did actually kill Roofy in the end as well.
He did. Well, at least he got that. You know, silver lining and all that jazz. But silver lining does not win you games, nor does a kill at the end onto artillery. And I think problems being the main issue there for TCM. I think that one they need to just ignore almost. As much as it may count, obviously, on the scoreboard, they can't let that get to them mentally, because that will be a huge deficit going forward. Yeah,
I mean, they have to just put that one somewhere in their closet, because you can't let that get to your head, as you said. They disconnected. Carvey got Amarak by the M44. I mean, the Amarak and Carvey dying, I mean, it's just good play by Roofy. He would have died anyway, pretty much. I mean, you have to really give it to Roofy for playing that tank and stepping up, and for WUSA having the guts to play it on the attacking side. But Eurofish dying and still being offline right now. TCM Gaming in a match that could be argued as the most important in the whole season. Not a great start. They are on the defensive side, so you 50-50 on steps, so it's not a massive deal that they lose, and I think TCM is better on the attack anyway, but they still have to wait until Eurofish does come into this game. We've got Shartak, team manager, and resident old man in the WGL. No, I'm joking, you're brilliant, Shartak. He's probably going to slap me at some point for that, but it's so good. Still owes me a few beers, so I think I get that one. But yeah, I think he's going to be stepping up for his team as, probably going to show them how it's done, just like Common.
We'll have to wait and see. Carmen seems to need a baguette before he can do anything when it comes to offline events. But I think it's Eurolfish who had the issue.
Yeah, Eurofish, yeah.
So hopefully, whatever problems there do get resolved and all get a stand in as we're.
DJ Deep seems to be joining us.
Yeah, so it may take a couple of seconds, a little bit longer, just to get him up to speed, get him in the right tank, and get that second round going. And as we said, it's such a big game coming up for these two that you ideally would want your complete first lineup in play. However, internet problems, whatever it may be, certainly can be a plague to this, and I can imagine TCM pretty frustrated by that. As we said, hopefully that doesn't get to them mentally. That's the biggest point here, is that if they can overcome that issue, if they can just kind of put it aside, put it in a box, go back to it later on, whatever, that's absolutely fine. But losing that confidence early on, or getting frustrated early on, can really start costing you so many small mistakes here and there and start building up. And a frustrating first start, I feel, for them. Even losing Carvey early on there to the M44 being play, it wasn't this phenomenal next-gen thing. It's a static position that was spotted out by the T-32 that was able to sustain the damage it could cause. The artillery landed correctly. It works. It's as simple as you can put it. It was just well thought out by WUSA. However, for Carvey, that must be frustrating as hell. So hopefully going forward, they may not put themselves in such static positions to a degree. It's very hard to roll off that position, as we know.
Well, the thing is, TCM Gaming, they knew that the artillery could hit them, but they kind of did the right thing because they knew with that T-32 that WUSA would definitely be going for that right side. The T-32 is just too slow to go even through the middle. So they were thinking, okay, so that T-32 will have the presence. It'll be able to get that right side. And then we need a tank in that position up behind a rock to be able to stop the cap. Everyone knows when that tank is behind that rock that you simply just can't cap. But good tank play by Roofy, good artillery by Roofy, and just good tank lineups from WUSA managed to save the day. And, well, Eurofish dying anyway. But we will be getting the second round. DJ Red Deep will be picking up the 251 in place of Eurofish, who I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but he could possibly be joining us. I think he's just got an internet connection issue. Quite strange because he is Finnish. They do have pretty good internet these days. But things happen. This is the interwebs. And, well, it'll be... Again, WUSA on the attack and hopefully a better TCM Gaming on the defense.
Let's see if that frustration has got to them at all. And look at the tank lineups now. We're seeing two artilleries, two artillery players coming into this. Roofy and Still Mojo picking that up. What do we make of it?
But I think it's not a big deal. Still Mojo playing the artillery. It's just to try and counter that T-32, so they don't really have to put the M41. You also notice they haven't got an M41. They've got an extra 251. So with artillery, they can stop the cap, they can kill that T-32. That's basically the thinking behind TCM Gaming. Yizny being a little bit more aggressive as well. Spoink and WUSA going aggressive at the start, trying to get some middle spots out. Vitailin and Yizny does get a little bit of damage. And as I said, Yizny going aggressive is a risky move because it's pretty obvious what WUSA wants to do at the beginning. And it's just to try and get some initial damage, and they have done so. Roofy hitting a brilliant shot onto him, and it does say a lot for that player that two very key shots to hit.
That's what I mean, though. That frustrated play, that slight want to make up for it, that overzealous peak there, and Yizny does suffer indeed, down to 3-6-8, but Schnitzel being caught out quite in the open. And lucky enough that artillery didn't come in too strongly towards him there, but so far down to half HP at the moment. The HP overall is extraordinarily close, but WUSA's still slightly in the advantage.
Still Mojo's going to come off reload in a second. M44, 17 seconds. Can he predict this shell? No, he's not going to go for it. Good play by him. He's just going to wait until FKK Schnitzel peaks. Maybe Purple Shift will peak. Now Still Mojo is off reload. He does make the shell, doesn't connect, and WUSA starting to play towards that right side. But despite the initial good damage by Roofy onto Yizny, TCM Gaming are keeping this WUSA at bay quite successfully. Does Nikita Yukai in great positions, but the thing is they have split up their forces a little bit. Those two combat tanks in the middle will kind of negate their ability to go left, but they will be able to get through the middle very quickly. That middle road gives you a perfect A to B ability, and that's why Spoink is up there to try and stop that, but he's completely negated in any other situation, and despite Roofy being near his team, it's still going to be hard for him to actually to get into a safe position without compromising the damage he can do.
Yep. A lot on the line here, a lot on the cards, and this round very important. Mostly to reset the tone for TCM, I feel. They need this one mentally to stay in the game. If WUSA pick this up, then I feel that may spiral them. We'll have to wait and see. DJ Deep stepping in for Eurofish for now. And Artillery coming in once again. Not really finding a target too strongly, however. But it's buying time well enough. And that Eastern play from WUSA coming into effect now. The spots being made. Stefan there just lighting up a little. But it's still a tentative start from both sides. WUSA still has 4 minutes to make an impact in this one. And once again, the Artillery getting very close.
TCM Still Mojo has to start hitting these shells eventually. He's hit one with FKK Schnitzel, but only tracking him. He has to start doing some damage. I mean, these are not hard shells. He's not particularly far away. Yes, the M44 not particularly accurate, but it's not the particularly hardest shot in the world. Again, missing these shells, and Purple Shift being punished for peaking there. 628 damage as Roofy isn't going to make the same mistakes.
Hopefully not, at least, as going forward now. The cap not fully side off, but Schnitzel traversing through. However, Purple Shift being found by him. It's a nice start really into this one for WUSA. Finally making that big damage come into effect. Yizny so low already, and DJ Deep just being caught out here. Big play on the rotate though. The 251's heading down south. There's a 1390 awaiting, but DJ Deep is just out in the open. There's no one there to support. Yeah, Bazzoni's going to pick it up almost for free, and that's a 2-for-0 exchange. This is a disaster for TCM.
This is over for TCM game. You can see the HP advantage really sliding in favor of WUSA as Spike will fall, actually. That might give them a little bit of a way in, and the cap hasn't been started. Yizny will fall to Stefan. So yeah, 4 tanks against 6. This looks bad for TCM.
Yeah, make it 3. WUSA leading by HP now by 900 almost. This is a disaster. Bear in mind, Roofy's still alive in this, and he's got such a small amount. Yes, he's going to be swarmed on. Yes, that'll bring it closer, but the cap can start, and these 3 tanks remaining for TCM. But just out of the game for so long, and Roofy knows he's in a vulnerable position. He probably is going to go down here. Oof, almost has a little bit of damage towards Durs then, but he will fall. But look at this situation now.
Not sure why Durs didn't just use HE ammo to take down that Roofy there, because he could have one-shot him, and now he's taken about 400 damage too much.
Yep.
Cap on the way. That T-32 in there, and well, TCM Gaming still have 3 tanks alive, and they wanted to stay alive so they could decap. But still, it's going to be a hard game. Does Nikita probably will have to suicide, and it just depends if they can actually come from the right angle where WUSA aren't aiming.
This is such a tough predicament for TCM. So many tanks caught out in just positions they shouldn't be alone in, and 25 seconds now on this cap. T-32 set up towards the north. Fairly low though. Schnitzel is down to around 181 HP, but he's got Stefan near Pazzoni and Vitilian not too far away, and in the south, really supporting them, is that 251. So here we go, the 1390s, the 251s for TCM will start making the play, but look at the time limit, 4 seconds left. This may be over before they can even get close, and TCM, what are you doing here? WUSA cleanly picking up battle number 2, completely outdoing TCM. And I've got to say, it looked like TCM almost lost that themselves rather than WUSA winning it.
They lost at every single point of the game. I mean, it wasn't even close. 5 tanks alive for WUSA, the T-32 hitting 2k damage. And Still Mojo only 86. I mean, yeah, okay. There's everyone knows when you play artillery, there's some games where you just don't hit anything. You roll a dice, you hit 1, you don't get the 6. So yes, it happens. But I can't believe that. I'm not sure how many shells he made there. I'm gonna have a quick look.
Because the 44 can certainly pump out shells. It's not like you've got that long wait there.
Yeah,
he can certainly do some.
He had 7 shells made. The 1 shell he did hit was on the side of the track of the T-32, and it did 86 damage. So 7 shells, 1 kind of hit. And from, like, let's say from 150 to 300 meters, shouldn't happen. He should have done a lot more.
But look at this. DJ Deep just gets caught out on his own.
He would have died anyway. That's the thing. I mean, two problems. First of all, Still Mojo didn't hit anything. Second thing was that Purple Shift peaked and basically took a fistful of damage, which made DJ Red Deep and Purple Shift be very vulnerable. And allowed WUSA to push around. They did a good job against Spoik here, but it was the obvious move. And I think Still Mojo a little bit late to run away. Near Pazzoni finds him no problem at all. So I think TCM Gaming, they knew the presence was over there towards the left side, but they had to deal with FKK. FKK was the key for WUSA for the 2nd time in a row, and he's alive the whole game.
I've got to say, TCM need to step the hell up here, because WUSA seem like they know what they want, and they know they want to go to those offline finals, and they're playing like it. TCM, I just don't think they've shown up yet. I am still waiting to see TCM actually get into the battle, because so far, first round, a little unlucky there with Eurofish. All right, let's not write that out. But then Carvy's work, going down, Roofy hitting that shell early on in the artillery, also gave them such an advantage straight away.
That was a big advantage.
It's huge.
Unbelievable shell, because Yizny in the MX 1390 is small, he's fast, he's maneuverable.
Yep.
I mean, Roofy might have just predicted that perfectly, or he might have just rolled that dice for a second time and got it right spot on the mark.
Sometimes luck's on your side, but I think overall we can say that so far WUSA are playing, I'd say, as best they can, whereas TCM, I haven't seen it yet from them. I haven't seen that spark, that real team play, that real smart decision making that normally TCM have beside them. I want to see more, and hopefully coming into the third battle, should I say, here, they can really find that comfort zone, because I'm not sure what to say so far. This is not TCM that will get to the offline finals. This could be them halting their chances.
Yeah, this is not good. 2-0 down on the attacking side.
You expect one out of two
on the
in these.
defending side, yeah, you definitely expect 1 out of 2. I'm not sure. We're gonna have to see a great TCM gaming, and not just a great TCM gaming, but a weak WUSA.
Yeah.
So for them to actually pick this game up, they are going to be switching now. Attack is going to be TCM gaming. Defense is going to be WUSA. Lineups pretty similar to the last one. Obviously, the 59-16 being picked up by TCM Gaming gives us an idea that, unlike WUSA, they're not going to go towards the right. They're going to go up north and probably go for the C3 cap. And it looks like WUSA have gone with a T32 and an M44, so they got good ability to stop that cap whenever they want, as long as Roofy can stay on form, can stay on point. So I would give this game to WUSA just looking at the lineups right now.
Well, let's see if that holds true, because now we are into battle number 3. And as you said, WUSA up in north in red and south in blue is TCM now playing with the colours correctly on their sides. Let's hope that brings them some luck here, because so far TCM has been so out of this one. Fairly even on HP though. We're not seeing that disparity there to start off with. So even with Roofy in play, they do manage to keep that HP still fairly high. But what are we seeing coming out from TCM? This is also a very different start from WUSA.
Well, WUSA's thinking, okay, so
God.
TCM Gaming clearly have that 59-16, so they want to go for the cap. So let's just stop that. Let's just get into a position where they can't go into the cap. They got the T32 aggressive. Going to be very hard for TCM Gaming to deal with. TCM don't have artillery, but they do negate that right side. Now, if TCM reacts very quickly by heading over towards the right side before WUSA can get the shots on across the field, TCM Gaming will almost undoubtedly win this game as long as they be able to deal with that T32 in the later stage. But they aren't. They're being a little bit slow, and it looks like they're just having a slugging match. And if there's a mod basically with artillery where you don't have that overhead view. Instead, you have a kind of like a first-person view where you can kind of predict and shoot, and that does give you a big advantage. It makes it a lot easier to play artillery. But I'm questioning if the artillery players are using it, because at the offline finals, of course, no mods are allowed.
Yep.
And playing...
You don't want to get comfortable with something.
Well, it's not just comfort. Like, this mod is game-changing. Like, if you use it, you will be bad in the other artillery mode. So, yes, you might be able to hit a couple of interesting shots, but in the end, you're just basically kidding yourself. And that's going to have to be in the back of all these teams' minds, as TCM Gaming look like they want to go for the fight. They have got the more firepower, and as long as Carvey keeps on missing these shells as he does against Purple Shift, WUSA will struggle on the one-on-ones.
Here we go. TCM starting to accumulate themselves towards this, but there's a lot of pressure coming towards them. Purple Shift being focused down so early on. 749 HP, allowing Deep Yukai and Still Mojo to try and split slightly towards the left. But I like the positioning from WUSA. They're taking very little damage so far as well, and they're being able to pump out so much. Already TCM down to near on 5k. That's 2k difference almost.
The big plays by WUSA. They've got the better position. They got everything right now. Purple Shift almost down. It was just a bit of a suicide for TCM Gaming. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing. They're just walking into a death trap and they're being killed.
This is a disaster for TCM again. Overall 3k left. Spoink laying in fire after fire. Pluck it as well. Yukai's now on his own. He looks vulnerable there. Still Mojo and Durs might not be able to even support him. He's going to have to back away so low. Purple Shift's alive, but on 1 HP. This is a disaster. And look at Vertilion. He's just going to go straight in here, feeling confident. And why not? Yukai is down to nothing. He falls. 4 left for TCM. Their hopes of getting to those offline finals might be in shreds after this game, as one by one they are being taken down by WUSA, who have every tank still in this battle, sharing the damage, sharing the HP, and this is a absolute bloodbath. TCM left with 1 HP as Purple Shift now will fall. This has been the most one-sided game I've seen in a while.
I don't know what to say. I mean, TCM Gaming usually once they winning, they start losing, but they're losing straight off the bat. Maybe a better thing because they could get into this game, they could start winning, but I don't see that. I mean, TCM Gaming, they quite often lose because they do weird stuff.
Yeah, they try new things. Sometimes it's a bit odd. Sometimes it clicks. Sometimes it doesn't.
Exactly. But now they're just doing stupid stuff because it was clear that WUSA were in a better position to deal the damage. Like in World Tanks, you want to have the least amount of your tank showing to be able to hit the most amount of shells against a more open tank. Exactly. Yep. WUSA had like that much of 3 tanks turrets showing, and they could just get perfect shots against TCM Gaming. So it was pixel shots against basically meters of shots. And obviously you're going to win. I mean, this is like logical stuff. There's absolutely no reason to push in. And the T49 by Still Mojo, I can see what he's trying to do because we saw it in the Russian League. And to be honest, it's been done as well. I mean, Deep Tranquility picked up a couple of times, but that was suicidal, especially when you consider that right side was fully open if you just rotate correctly. I mean, WUSA are just on point. That's the thing. Like, they're not making any mistakes.
That's exactly it. And you may think or convince yourself this is going to be like the TCM momentum game where I think they went like 3-1 down in the first map. But then bearing in mind they picked up battle number 3 and they were,
well, they won the 4 rounds on
they won back-to-back
exactly
on Cliff.
Yeah.
I don't see that in TCM today. It's not like they're being close and they're missing out. Sometimes we'll see very one-sided score lines, but the actual battles are quite close. It may come down to a cap that has like a 2-to-1, tank ratio left. It can be very close in the rounds, and maybe a couple of teams will just get maybe slightly better luck, have slightly better positioning, better tanks for it. It comes down to these close choices, but that game was not close at all. And I have a horrible feeling that that bad start from TCM may be affecting them now because this is not a TCM that we've seen this season. This is something very different.
Yeah, I almost feel sorry for them. I mean, getting their best player, Eurofish, to disconnect at the start, having your M41 being blown up at the start. I mean, how can you have a worse beginning to an important game? It's just disastrous for them, morally disastrous, mentally disastrous, and I don't know.
It's affecting.
It's going to be.
I think
it's going to be a game of mental battles for TCM Gaming. Yeah. Can they come back from this? Can they motivate themselves? Can they start to click and get into their normal rhythm? Because when they do, they're unbeatable. They have these moments of brilliance, and they're not doing too badly. Only 1 point behind WUSA. So they can possibly do this. Same lineups pretty much from both teams. Still Mojo playing that T49 and then a mixture of 251s predominantly heading towards the 251s and AMX 3090s and Kavi finally playing that 5916.
And that's the thing. Look at the first game we had that went to the 5th map. That was between the 11th place team and the 4th place team. That's where you'd expect to see this sort of scoreline, 3-0, very one-sided games. This is literally a team one step behind the other. This should be as close as hell. Finally, TCM getting some early damage. Much better start.
They know what WUSA's doing and they're predicting it. They're just doing the right thing right now because, TCM Gaming do eventually learn of their mistakes, but Purple Shift does receive a shell from Roofy again. Roofy stepping up to the mark and hitting these shells. I mean, it's no coincidence now, three big shells and three big hits for that young artillery player from the WUSA side. And the MX-3090 a little bit scared from WUSA heading up north. And TCM Gaming are on the right side heading around. So WUSA know what TCM's doing, and let's see what they can do to counter it.
For once, I actually really want TCM to do well here because seeing them the way they are in the prior rounds, I want to see that little bit more. So I'm hoping that this works. At least they're not just going straight in. And exactly, Nias Pizzoni could be caught out here. He's on his own. Yes, he'll spot them out. And lucky enough, I guess, Kavi's the one who has a chance, but no shots hit. Can he actually get away from this?
Yeah, he's gonna run away. He had the momentum and the speed to actually be able to scamper out. And that's one of the tricks with light tanks is that the worst thing you can do in a light tank, pretty much in any situation, is just stop. As soon as you stop, you have to get speed up again, and an MX-3090 is not the quickest accelerator in the world. So good play by Nia Pizzoni.
Yeah, smartly done, and does stay in this game. Now, 36 seconds left. Big cap coming in. A lot of resources towards it. Backing away, though. TCM just wanting to draw WUSA into their trap, get them in their kind of positioning. And actually backing away from this. Maybe TCM trying to switch something up here.
TCM Gaming kind of using those bluffs, basically. Put them in the cap and then rotate around again.
Yep.
Catching WUSA by surprise and using the slowness of WUSA's lineup to their advantage. That T32, once it's dragged over towards the right side, TCM can rotate through the middle or through the left side and basically make sure that T32 can't be in a hull down good location. And WUSA are heading left, but TCM Gaming kind of unsure what they want to do there. Kind of wandering around that southern side of the map, and maybe they will go into the cap, maybe they won't. We'll have to wait and see, but they look like they're setting up for a kind of sniping position trap, and hope that WUSA goes forwards.
What do you make of it as well? Do you think WUSA will actually fall for this? I don't see why they would. WUSA are on the defense. They don't have to push that far. I'm hoping that they don't fall into this trap, WUSA. I don't think they need to, though. No,
TCM Gaming needs to peak with that 2-5-1 before WUSA will do anything. So Zenichta needs to basically show himself. And then, I think that MX1390 might just take the bait and go forwards, and that would give TCM Gaming a little bit of a way into this game. First shells. It's just so irresponsible from Zenichta. I don't know why he's peaking so far. He could just go forwards a little bit and he would have got the same result. So, again, unnecessary peaks, and yeah, we can see everything, but still, you've got to play cautionary all the time, otherwise you will get caught out. And that 59-16 getting spotted from Carvey, not a big deal, because the 59-16 is there to try and basically reload, but basically just get spotted and roam around. But I think TCM has done the right thing. They've dragged WUSA left, and they got the right side.
I like it. This is decisive. This is much more competent than what we've seen so far from TCM. Seeming like they're getting that focus ready now. They're getting back into this. And I'm hoping now mentally they don't fall apart here. They're going to go for Neopazoni again, but he's still alive and they're still going to find maybe a touch of card. DJ Reed Deep kind of flying in for this one. He is hungry for this kill. Going to have reload any second now. Have the shell available. Roofy there in the background though. That's a troublesome sight. Obviously they can fold towards him, but I don't think they want to. And here comes WUSA. Going to start folding back in towards the north, and that's a lot of pressure coming in.
Well, FKK Schnitzel is again going to be the most important player for TCM Gaming to take down. As soon as he gets into the most optimal hull down position, it's going to be very hard. Focus fire also will be important as WUSA collapses.
Let's see how this one goes here. So far, TCM slightly down on HP, but have the cap going. They're going to suffer a couple of blows in this, but Vertilion there getting caught out quite low. 243 HP, got 2 on him. Yukai going in for the kill. Yukai needs to get this as Yizny just went down and taking a little bit too much. Maybe 518 damage coming through. Stefan gets a second, and WUSA again working back into this. The cap has been halted. And I just got to say it, TCM look like they don't have that focus.
I don't think they have the damage either, as FKK Schnitzel is in these good positions, and still Mojo is now resting with the fishes as he does go down, and Spike looks to find Carvey.
And he's going to get him pretty easily there. Just DJ Deep and Durs left alive. And the hunting squad of WUSA is after them. WUSA looking focused, looking ready, looking hungry to get themselves towards the offline finals. And a 4-0 scoreline will be perfect as a beginning in the first map. Pluckett finds one, and now just Durs alive. 1v5. Gets one down. Will be picked up in the end by Neopazoni. And my God, 4-0. Is that an irrevocable scoreline at this point?
This is irrevocable. I mean, it's irrevocable because you still only get 1 point if you win the next 4 in a row. But, I mean, TCM Gaming clearly are down and they clearly are out. That was better, and they clearly got themselves together in that game. But WUSA just not making the mistakes. I mean, the biggest mistake from TCM Gaming there was that they put so many resources to kill FKK Schnitzel. Yizny peeking, trying to take him down, not doing any damage, losing him, and then the other 2-5-1 in there because of FKK Schnitzel, because Roofy did a good amount of damage to Purple Shift. It allowed FKK just to peek and take down Purple Shift. I mean, this is what's happening right now. Roofy's doing amazing in the artillery, giving his team the advantage. So when TCM Gaming makes a move, they can simply take out that one tank Roofy's done a lot of damage against, and then get that tier 8 advantage, and then they just use their ability to come around and coordinate properly to win the game.
And this is troubling sights. You know, TCM, a team known for sometimes hit and miss performances. This is certainly a miss, and as you said, this is one of the most important games for them. It all depended on this, and sadly enough, it looks like WUSA just wanted it more. The way they're playing is not necessarily flawless, but it's close too. They've looked untouchable through half of this, and you know, we can chalk it up to TCM's mistakes, but it's also WUSA making the most of those mistakes and really punishing them for it. They're not taking any prisoners this time, I think is the best way to put it. And do we know what the next map's going to be?
Yeah, Cliff is going to be next map. This is TCM Gaming's pick, and well, they had 4-0 winning
need it
streak
again.
against Momentum. They need it again. Momentum is not as competent as team as WUSA, and I think WUSA could and should hold on for at least one round. But as I said, TCM Gaming starting the defense. It is their preferred side and their better side. But again, hard game and a hard slog for TCM Gaming. It would be the most incredible comeback, and TCM Gaming has made those comebacks before, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's the big question all around now. It's all down to TCM. What TCM we're going to see? The team who can pull these 4-0 comebacks? Or is it going to be the TCM who crumbles in the first round? I think that's the biggest question. And Melly, how are the people at home finding this one?
This is like we're watching Brazil versus Germany.
Wow.
I'm sorry, that tweet just came in. And people, yes, keep on tweeting. Hashtag WGLEU to share your opinion, to say what's on your mind. You see, I'm reading every single tweet. And yes, loving all the 251s like angry hamsters running around the map. That's pretty funny if you ask me. But yes, people. Your votes, still 61% for Team WUSA. They're still staying calm. Well, they're still waiting, I think, for something, now up to 62. We've seen clearer vote prediction endings in the past few match days. But it's not over yet. We will head into a small break where you can still vote for your favorite team by simply heading over to our Facebook page, facebook.com/WGLEU, where you can find a post on our timeline, and then simply have to click the link, and then you get forwarded to an app where you simply have to vote for your favorite team and then predict the exact scoreline for this matchup in the little text field below. Click on vote, and off goes your vote, and maybe you get lucky and will be rewarded as one of the 5 winners. And also tweeting gets you bonus codes as well. I will reward 5 tweets of the day after the match day, and maybe you get lucky and win one of the bonus codes. So people, as said, 5 minutes of break, and we will be back after that.
welcome back. And it seems that match week 8 is proving to be a tough one for TCM, currently trailing 0-4 against WUSA. Not a scoreline that we expected at the start of the day. I thought something a little closer overall, but we know what TCM are like. They can be, the complete extremes in this. However, hopefully the second map may prove to be a little bit better for them.
Well, you'd hope, because 4-0, I mean, if it doesn't go any better for them, they've lost it 5-0. As simple as that. But typically, historically, TCM Gaming have been really good on Cliff, and that's why they've picked it up. But I don't think they expected to be 4-0 down. They knew WUSA was better than them on steps. I mean, The thing about TCM Gaming is that they haven't played steps in absolutely forever. They just ignore that map completely, and they've been punished for it because they just don't know what to do on it at the end of the day. They like their Ruinbergs, they like their Cliffs, but steps clearly not one of their favorites. But still, it could still be a 4-0. It could be a game of two halves, and WUSA could still lose this one out, but I would be very surprised. Typically, WUSA not very good on Cliff. 1 out of 4 won in Cliff, and their one win was on the defensive side against GG. Well played. So it's not a massive deal to win one defensive round. It's kind of the standard, and something I would have expected TCM Gaming to do. But I think at the end of the day, they're going to be able to hold on for at least one.
Well, we hope so at least, because otherwise it's going to be a very quick match number 2 and a very decisive scoreline. Guys at home, hashtag WGLEU. What do you make of this? Is TCM just off game, or is this WUSA playing out their skin? I think it's a little bit of column A and B, however, but my thoughts aside, it's all about you guys. So use that hashtag. Excuse me, get involved with us, as I almost die trying to talk to you.
Sounded like you swallowed your tongue then.
Almost. It might put me out of the pain of casting with you. Who knows? Maybe it was a subliminal
It's just a bit
thing.
harsh, but carry on.
No, what can I say? But we are just waiting on the final members to get themselves. So it looks like they're ready. I don't know.
Yeah, they're ready.
What we're waiting on? Just maybe talking things through before they get into the game.
Admin's going to start the game, and of course, Admin's the one who's inviting all these players, and he dictates the start of the game. And our producer and admins, of course, are in constant contact. But I can quickly run through the lineups: double Bulldog, double T49, AMX 3090, T54 Lightweight, and 251 from TCM Gaming. So a little bit reminiscent of our last game, where Dream Leprechauns also, I believe, picked up 2 T49s, or was that Utopia? One of the two. Didn't work out though. Double AMX 3090, double 251, T54 Lightweight from the side of WUSA. So pretty similar lineups.
Yeah, close enough. And I think that's a good way to really kick this one off, seeing the real difference between these teams. Because let's put it this way: attack and defense on this map, it's not the biggest factor at times. It does come down to that brawl in the middle sometimes. Who gets in the better positions? What initial start they go for? Do they use that western side push? Split a couple of players there. It's all down to the team. So having a near-on equal lineup, I like it. I think we'll get to see the true ability here. And if it was just maybe WUSA having that luck on their side, having that better game mentality, or if it's now time for TCM's comeback, let's find out. The game's underway, and we are into this one, as you said, quite the similar lineups here to a degree. Couple of differences, but nothing major. But the double T49, I'm not sure what to make out of that.
Well, it can go very well, and it can go very badly. If it hit even one shell out of those two, it's going to go well. And I have to say, when TCM Gaming were playing the T49 last time on this map, but it was actually picked up by Eurolfish, he did fantastic work.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. And so did Still Mojo, to be honest. And Still Mojo's warmed up after his games on steps of the T49, so it could go well. And the initial exchange does go their way, but first shell from that T49 does not connect.
No, it does not, but a lot of spots coming out. WUSA completely known near on. There are 2 players, however, down on that west side that will now be spotted. They're going to try and get a shot towards Carvey, but he does have cover to maintain towards. And whose positioning do we like more? There is still a player on the west side for TCM, so could change around here.
Yeah, give it like 10, 15 seconds more, and I prefer TCM Gaming's positioning because Purple Shift is coming from the side. But right now, I would give it to WUSA because they got more presence towards the middle, and it's going to force TCM Gaming to retreat a little bit. But Carvey still hasn't peaked, and when he does, he's going to be able to do so much damage to the WUSA tanks if they do push. And well, Carvey doesn't decide to peek and instead heads down. He's going to be joining his friend Purple Shift and the other M41, who's now just been spotted by Vitillion. And maybe they can do some good work together. Those two typically have been absolutely on point with those two M41s, at least when they played against Momentum. So see if they can do that again. And Shell does head up to Zenichta's gun towards Vitillion, doesn't connect. Still Mojo looking for some sort of damage towards Stefan, and it's a very tentative, very slow game. For TCM Gaming, the kind of stance they have is basically saying to WUSA, come on boys, push forwards, you've got the advantage.
See if they take that though. TCM are down slightly in HP here. You can hear T49 making some shots, but nothing really coming from it just yet. You can always see when it does connect really with these guys. A massive chunk will be taken away from either side. And at the moment, tentative play from TCM. Nothing too surprising considering what scoreline they're at. WUSA are on match point here. So, 4 minutes and 48 seconds left. Seeing those shells going through. Stefan did receive a little bit, but it looks like WUSA are on the move.
WUSA are going to head around, and I think they're going to do what we saw Utopia do. They're going to go hull down in about C7. That's probably why they picked the T54 lightweight. Engage onto Dozenikta. They've basically seen that TCM Gaming is on a kind of defensive stance, and they've got Stefan on the hill, so they've ticked all the boxes, they crossed all those T's, they dotted all those I's, and now they just need to get the execution right. But I would give it to WUSA right now. If they hit the first few shells, if TCM Gaming don't realize this is what's going to happen, and if Dozenikta doesn't step up to the plate and really do some good damage for his team.
It's a big sticking point here. That T49 is going to be holding a lot. It's a linchpin almost around that kind of F6 area, but the jig is certainly up now. Durs has spotted Spoink, and the rest of them. Durs needs to hold on here. Play it smart, play it not necessarily cautiously, but, you know, careful to a degree. Don't take too much. He's taken a lot already. Spoink there in tow with Pluckett, just landing shell after shell. He's already down to almost a one shot. Yeah,
the bad play by Dozenikta. He should have hit that shell against Spoink on the side, and it does put TCM Gaming in a very awkward position. I want to see what Thailand does in that M41. Also what Stefan does on the hill, and if TCM Gaming can actually do something with their positional play. I think WUSA can put a tank in the cap pretty safe. They will have to worry about the M41s, but at the end of the day, not a big deal. As long as Thailand does it right and comes around on the flank, because at the moment he does seem to be a little bit late to the pie as Dozenikta is brought down to a one-shot.
Finally, though, Schnitzel getting fairly low as well. Nias Pizzoni does find Durs. The mistakes that he made earlier on certainly costing him here. And I think Schnitzel might have reload a little bit earlier. Vertilion covers off, gets still Mojo down. Now he has to hit this shot here, Schnitzel. He wants to get Yizny out of the game, but Yizny does find a little bit of cover. Vertilion from the backside, laying down constant fire, but Yizny makes the most of it. Takes down Schnitzel, but Vertilion comes in strong in the end. Now looking at it, it's still an advantage to WUSA, but that HP is being removed.
And at the moment, TCM Gaming doing a good job of actually focusing down the WUSA guys, but Nir Pizzoni might just be able to save the day. He will take down Yukai, no problem at all. Siish down to a one-shot, and he will fall to Kavi, but DJ Red deep on that hill and in a bad position. He's kind of saved by the fact that Nir Pizzoni is on reload.
Yeah, Kavi there laying down that good sustained fire that you get from those Bulldogs. Getting a lot done. Stefan down very low, and actually looking at the HP here, extraordinarily even, but a shell comes in towards TCM, on towards Kavi, finally getting a little bit of a comeuppance here as Vertilion rolls off. Big game from Vertilion as well. Kavi's in trouble. Going to find a touch of cover, but Vertilion comes down, cautiously does it, gets one on the way, and surely Kavi's done for. Vertilion claims it. That is a big play from this man, putting WUSA in the advantage, and now it's all down to Purple Shift. Can he pull something out of the bag here? It'd be a massive performance, and I don't think he's got it in him, and it looks like WUSA have done just enough to claim this one. Last man standing, one more shot comes out from Nir Pizzoni, and WUSA 5-0 TCM.
5-0. I did not expect that. I said at the beginning that TCM Gaming WUSA would be one of the closest games of the season.
We lied.
It turns out to be the exact opposite. But to be honest, I think that's more down to the fact that in the beginning it just went all wrong. I mean, it literally went all wrong for TCM Gaming. Eurofish disconnecting. Well, I think Eurofish disconnecting full stop. You lose your best player, one of your best players, and it's very bad. But you can't take anything away from WUSA. Their steps play was phenomenal. Yep. They've always been phenomenal step, but they definitely stepped it up, no pun intended. And on Cliff, they just about did enough good flanking maneuvers. Dozenikta being in an awkward position. I mean, I think I would have put a Bulldog there. I mean, why did you pick a T54 lightweight? It wasn't hull down. You wouldn't have the gun depression. It just made no sense at all. But TCM Gaming made the first counterplay, and then WUSA came off reload and they made their own counterplay, and it ended up working quite nicely. So 5-0 to WUSA.
I don't know what to make of this. And looking at, you know, the impact of Eurofish, let's say, just looking through his stats, he's 36th in the rankings. There are players higher.
Yizny is way higher, but
it's obviously losing a player is huge.
When you look at the damage Eurofish does, he's definitely one of those players that can clutch for his team, and he's one of the thing is it's not even so much about the player, it's the fact that he's in the main lineup. Yes. He's also the ex team leader of Spala, so losing him is also
big.
losing a shot caller.
That's a voice in the game gone.
Exactly. He's a good shot caller, and he makes some good decisions, and he's very good at calling the shots when it comes to those firefights. So
Yep.
just having to use a player you don't normally use and you never expected to use. I mean, usually
Even in specific positions
Exactly.
as well, it all comes into effect.
Yeah.
That's a big loss there for them.
when they were training for this match, they would have used Eurofish through and through. They're not expecting him to have internet issues or whatever. So having to sub in someone else who hasn't played the tactics, hasn't trained in the lineup so much, big blow.
Yep.
But WUSA,
Can't take it away from them.
Just great.
Crisp play from WUSA. That's going to get them, 3 very clean points. And let's just have a little quick look at this as towards the impact it should have in the overall standings. It's a guesstimate because Kazna can change this. However, with WUSA winning it, look at Matt, great producer. That's a big step up in 5th now. Massive difference there. Now, Kazna can get back into it, but they need a clean win.
Kazna crew, I don't know. I'm skeptical about Kazna crew. Honestly, they've just been like a team of. It's what all these games do this, right? Everyone just gets like a superstar team and thinks it worked, but for like having Ruster and Elian and Hyber and Vetso in that team, you would have expected them to be like 2nd. So I don't know. They're going to struggle against their next opponent for sure, and that's going to be Evil Panda Squad, who have been okay. I mean, not great, but they can certainly do some damage. So I don't know, man.
That's added so much more pressure to this game coming up for Kazna as well now, because that's currently, as it stands, they are not going to the offline finals.
Yeah.
That's a huge blow for them, considering they made this all-star lineup.
They've always gone to the finals. I mean,
exactly. Whether or not they got that far, they always were there.
Kazna crew for like 4 offline finals never did well. They did a couple of good results after that, like a couple of 3rd places. But they always go, they always show their faces, and they always have a good time. But this time, don't know.
It's a terrifying situation to be in, and the guys at home must be loving this game, because that's changed everything, right, Melly?
Well, they weren't expecting it in first place. 61% for Team WUSA. Well, clear, but still very slight advantage compared to TCM Gaming. And Twitter, well, I just got an answer. Yes, it will be a clear 5-0. You, my friend, are absolutely right. As we know, 5 minutes ago, the 5 minutes delay, don't forget them. We talk about the happenings. 5 minutes later, then you actually tweet them and post them in chat. So don't worry, don't be confused. That's also why we can tweet and talk at the same time. Magicians usually don't tell their best tricks, but this is how it goes. And people, yes, it will be a clear 5-0 is a pretty clear statement, but did you expect that in first place? Just tweet me using the hashtag WGLEU and tell me if you expected it. And if I look on the votes, definitely not. And what went wrong besides Eurofish disconnecting? But, we're in the Gold League. Playing with a stand-in is always not like the optimum, because that's why he's a stand-in, or hasn't been put in the roster in first place for the matchup. But shouldn't teams be able to pull it off besides a 5-0 ending anyways? So just tweet me what you're thinking using the hashtag WGLEU, and also get involved on Facebook, post on our timelines, comment on our postings, and I don't know, share your feelings, share your opinions, and also if you want to rewatch the matches from the past match days, just head over to youtube.com/WGLEU. Follow us there as well, and also don't forget to follow the Twitch channel. There's a little follow button, hit that, and as soon as we go live, you get a notification, you get an email, you get a pop-up, and you won't be missing any single second of our awesome show. So the next matchup is Kazna Crew versus Evil Panda Squad. The vote is pretty much online now as soon as you see this, and we're heading into a break. Time to vote, time to get some drinks, and see you after that.